fan of the old Grand Wagoneer, that's great, but this has almost nothing to do with that. Jeep picked a winner of a namesake with the Grand Wagoneer and draws on the nostalgia trend. However, there are a few similarities between this 2022 Grand Wagoneer and the previous one. For example, it's still a family vehicle and it's still very pricey for the average middle folk. Let's start with the price, because all this luxury and technology comes at a fairly hefty cost. The base trim starts at $101,000. This tested top trim Series 3 Grand Wagoneer starts at $121,995, but this tested model is upgraded with velvet red pearl paint, a heavy-duty trailer tow package, rear seat entertainment, and 22 by 9-inch aluminum painted wheels. And in case you lost track, all of that plus a destination fee equals a staggering $130,470. Is it worth it? Well, considering that's probably not enough for a down payment today, you might as well spend the money on an awesome vehicle that you can pretty much live in, right? Seriously, all it's missing is a microwave, though you could probably fit one in here along with the kitchen sink. The Grand Wagoneer is massive. When I brought it home, my neighbor asked me if I brought a bus home. I didn't tell him that Jeep is also coming out with a long wheelbase version of this. I'm sure he'll be thrilled. Luckily, this SUV, has a step, also called a running board, because otherwise it'd probably need to mountain climb to get inside. Once seated, the driver as well as front passenger are treated to memory settings, heated and ventilated seats, as well as several massage options. It's not a deep tissue massage, but it's far more soothing than others. I don't even mind the weird noises it makes. The driver's seat is very easy to get comfortable in, and the pedals can be adjusted and moved closer, which for me is much needed and greatly appreciated. At first glance, there's a lot to take in, and before you can even think about driving, there are so many options that you'll want to set, otherwise it becomes very distracting while driving. There's wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and once it's set to your preferred Spotify list or however you choose to listen to music, you can adjust surround sound, courtesy of a Macintosh sound system of 23 speakers. There's a little cooler in the center console and a mini drawer on top of it. I originally thought it was the wireless charger until I found the secret hiding spot. With a touch of this button, this screen turns off and opens up to give access to some charging ports as well as a wireless phone charger. It's like finding pockets on a dress. The infotainment system is a bit confusing at first, but the options and settings are clearly marked. It isn't difficult to find various functions, however, it does take some concentration, which means it's a bit of an unnecessary distraction while driving. There's a bit of a learning curve to operate the climate control buttons. The climate control options can also be used on the touchscreen as well as with these buttons at the bottom. If you've got passengers who are old enough to set their own temperatures, just give them that option and save yourself the frustration of doing it from the front. That being said, if you've got passengers, they've got the world of options as well. There's an HDMI port in the back, meaning spoiled kids, like mine, or extremely lucky Uber passengers can be given access to pretty much any gaming console, because why not? And if it isn't the kids you're trying to keep quiet, there's also an HDMI port in the front, meaning spoiled husbands can play video games on the passenger screen. Jeep really did keep modern families in mind. More screen time is definitely the answer to a pleasantly quiet drive. Not that the car is that quiet, but it is very big. It's a smooth drive, though the steering is a little bit stiff and the brake pedals are a little bit heavy. My husband sat in the third row with my son and said that while he had a decent amount of legroom, it was a fairly bumpy ride. Remember when you were younger and it was fun to sit at the back of the bus because you could feel all the bumps and bounces? Yeah, me too, which is why I won't be sitting back there anytime soon, and also why my eldest, who's prone to car sickness, won't be back there either. Regardless, it's really easy to get into the third row. There's a button on top the quilted leather second row seats that quickly moves the seat forward, giving access to the third row. However, keep in mind that it isn't quite as simple with car seats in those bucket seats. So unless you want to frequently remove car seats, I'd suggest putting one in the second row, which also has heated and ventilated seats, and then any others in the third row if possible. Unfortunately, car seats in the third row becomes an issue if you're in need of extra cargo space, and more than likely at some point you'll need more, because for some reason, no matter how grand a 3-row SUV may be, there's never an optimal amount of space in the trunk. Fortunately, there's power seating and a 60-40 split that allows each side to recline as well as fold down for some added space. As for the drive, the Grand Wagoneer feels very grand in size, and it sometimes feels as though it's taking up more than one lane, which it isn't, but its presence is definitely known no matter where it is. It needs an ample amount of space to fit into a parking spot. Great surround view camera, good visibility, and the digital rear view mirror help, but even so, you probably won't find this Jeep parked too close to other vehicles, especially if you're super cautious of people dinging your $130,000 bus. Safety features and driving aids include blind spot monitoring, drowsy driver detection, advanced brake assist, and emergency braking, as well as an automated parking system. Yes, it's luxurious and comfortable, but it's massive and expensive. The space and rear entertainment is probably awesome for road trips, but you'll have to be willing to spend quite a bit on fuel. Though I can only assume that someone spending over $100 grand on a vehicle isn't too concerned with that. For what it's worth, and that's a lot, it's got an average fuel consumption of 16 liters per 100 kilometers. And with today's gas prices on the constant rise, this probably isn't the most fuel efficient, especially if you're doing a lot of city driving, in which case it's averaging 18.6 liters per 100 kilometers. If you're looking for something that is big and bold and almost the size of a bus, look no further. If you're looking for a vehicle with numerous screens, or a TV car as my daughter called it, this could be the one. If you're looking for a technology-driven 3-row SUV that screams luxury, the 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer is a great option. Pricey, but great nonetheless. Truthfully, if I had to pick, I'd choose the retro-looking wooden-paneled Jeep. However, I'll settle for this. For Driving.Ca, I'm Renita Narain. For more SUV reviews and news, check out our Instagram and Twitter.